Hello everyone, welcome back. Saturday afternoon and it's absolutely pouring down and Socks keeps running outside to get soaking wet and then dashing back inside so I can dry him off by doing the ruffles. I hope everyone's well. It's really stultifyingly warm, which isn't the nicest. But it's the weekend, isn't it, Socks? So we're going to do as we please. No writing and no worky work, as we call it. Now, reading. What have we been reading? Proper kind of summer holiday books, I think. I read the most recent Kate DiCamillo, Ferris, which I liked well enough, but not as much as the earlier books that I read earlier this month. Nothing is better than Flora and Ulyses, the book about the squirrel. I think she draws on lots of her strengths in this, lots of eccentric characters, lots of moments that teeter on the edge of sentimentality. They kind of fall into it slightly here. And there's too many characters, all with their own verbal tics and their quirks. And the fun is in the repetition, but there's too many of them for us to cling hold to. Maybe I just wasn't feeling it, but it's only clicked towards the end. You kind of think this is a short story that's been prolonged somewhat. I think. Maybe I just wasn't in the mood. I don't know. I really liked the other books by her I read, and I was expecting to like that. So maybe I put too much expectations on it as well. That can happen. What do you think, Socks? He said, cats always have great expectations, didn't you? And then I went on to a celebrity book. You must forgive me because I rail against celebrity books all the time, although I do say certain people get a free pass in my world. And one of them is Paul O'Grady, the late Paul O'Grady, Lily Savage, who just before he died started writing kids' books and published 2 in the same series, the Eddie Albert and his amazing Animal Gang series. And I picked up this recently, having missed out on it at the time. I think I was just cross about celebrities across the board at the time. Especially writing kids' books, you see these completely talent-free TV people turning up. And they turn up in local independent bookshops, places I'm well disposed to. And then you see them in Simply Books or Serenity Books or whatever, near here. Suddenly they're advertising the fact they've got these fake writers off the telly with their bloody awful books filling out the joint. I'll never forget how rude one of those people were to a good friend of mine when he questioned the very idea of TV comedians writing books. Anyway, Paul O'Grady gets a pass because he can write. Surprise, surprise. He clearly always wrote his own books. The 3 volumes of memoir that I read, and there's 2 more after that, are clearly his own work, and so is this. This is the first in the series of 2, The Amsterdam Adventure. Clearly somebody was in love still with Dodie Smith's 101 Dalmatians. There are shades of Cruella de Vil in this, in the cruel, primped up, plastic surgeried up Vera Van Loon, the Dutch villain of this, who kidnaps an orangutan to extract the secret of his ginger fur so she can have wondrous ginger locks, even though her own have fallen out. There's a wonderful cast of characters. Eddie moves to Amsterdam to be with his auntie, and they both have the gift of being able to talk to animals. And we have a whole cast of eccentric and silly animals. Some of it has the feeling of being made up on the fly, which is all right because it's full of kind of anarchic nonsense. There's a couple of plot conveniences in the adventure story parts of this that are a bit too convenient, and the story doesn't get going till about halfway through. He sets up all the characters and it takes up half the book, which is nice enough because they're pleasant to be around, they're fun to be around. There's a touch as well of Patrick Dennis's Auntie Mame in this spectacle of the boy going to the larger-than-life auntie's house, and also the rivalry between the auntie and her supposed friend, Vera. Yeah, a touch of the bosom buddies sequence in Auntie Mame. And clearly things that would have been well known to Paul O'Grady. Nicely illustrated as well. So I have ordered the second because I can't believe I didn't read this earlier. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And beyond that this morning, finished that this morning, I've been reading Mutz. This is a comic strip that began 30 years ago by Patrick McDonnell that I hadn't been aware of, although I must have seen it. I must have seen some of these pictures. They look like Crazy Cat from the 1930s, and the rhythm of the storytelling of the jokes and the panels is clearly indebted, and he owes up to this, to Schultz and Peanuts. It continues that kind of tradition. I love that his ears hover at the side of his head like that, in this kind of madly expressive way. They're really funny. They're not immediately funny, a bit like Peanuts. They're not kind of, roll about on the floor laughing funny all the time, but I can't bear that kind of comedy anyway. It's very sweet and sometimes bittersweet and silly and touching. That's what it is. And he builds this world very gradually. This is the first volume. It's from 96. So I'm going to explore further. He's got a book about Marvel Comics that I noticed came out a couple of years ago, about himself as a child being a Marvel reader. And I'm quite keen to get hold of that because the bits I've seen of that online look really special. That looks like something one might hint about for birthday presents and so on. So that's me, and I'm wondering what to go on to next. I've got, obviously, novels everywhere, and I think I've exhausted my patience with my book bag for July, which let me down slightly, I think. There was 1, 2, 3, maybe half of it that was any good, 3 out of 6, but that's not bad. But it frees me up for the rest of this month, which is whatever it is, 10, 11 days, to read just what I please. Although I do have to return to old Gillian McAllister and read the second half of our book club book, which, as you know, I found a bit tricksy. That's the word we used to use when I did my EMA for fiction that was trying to impress us with its mind games and its genre games, and forgetting that what we really want are characters that involve us and not just showing us how clever the author is. And there was a lot of that about in the early 90s. It still is. And there's a touch of that in this backwards time progressing thing about the Gillian McAllister book. All the characters got on my nerves. So I might sit down with something else. We'll see. I'll let you know. I'll let you know what I go on to. Still haven't done my video about cozy books. I've been building up a stack of things that I consider cozy. Most of them belong to series, actually. So I'll carry on building up that pile and really refine it. And hopefully in my next video, I can try to explain what I mean by cozy fiction. Something I think we can all do with in these times. and not necessarily to hide away from the world with. It's about reminding us of what's important to preserve in the world around us, perhaps. Maybe. Or maybe it is about hiding from the world, which on a day like this, when it's absolutely wazzing it down outside, isn't such a bad idea. So I shall say goodbye. Socks has now gone to sleep at the sound of my voice. And Panda seems to be here as well, staring out at you all implacably. Anyway, goodbye everyone. I'll see you again quite soon.